All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Stock Market Trade Group, and this is, yes, your end-of-day recap for Monday, May 8th. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only. Please read the full risk disclaimer there. So overall, kind of a choppy day for the indices, but, SPY didn't really move today, was flat. You could see where that is. S&P futures are right in the middle of the valuary and the middle of this triangle. It's kind of a broadening type formation. I think a lot of traders are starting to look at that, but we really don't have any confirmation of what way we're going yet. Have to kind of really wait for a break of that daily value area. That's at about 41.73 and 41.15 in S&P futures. 1 hour chart, you could see that price is just tucked in there, just beneath the value area. So first things first, a break of that value area would be helpful to the upside if you're looking for upside movement. 41.59. Qs is where it gets a bit more interesting. We'll start this time with the 1 hour chart, but we're right at the top of value, right? Remember, volume at price is that's the concept that we're using here, right? This value area is based on last week's all of the price and volume activity. So and this is roughly one standard deviation of that activity from last week. And if we can get above there, then we may begin to trend to the upside. Because as you can see here on the daily chart, we don't really have any major resistance here. So if it wants, it's now got a little bit of a clearer path to kind of break out. And that's where we're seeing the relative strength right now. Now that we've had a lot of these names report earnings, and then just finally, so, Qs are definitely showing some relative strength. I'll go through a couple charts in there. IWM tried to get into the value area for the month of May, wasn't able to do it. Continue to watch that 174.32 level. That's a level that I pointed out in this morning's Substack. Make sure that you are signed up for TTG Substack. They are free for now. And so, yeah, we could look at a couple of these names. Microsoft was a name that we talked about, I think, in Friday's video. There's some news out after the close that Google, which has been seeing some call activity, is unveiling, I think they have an event on Wednesday, and they're unveiling something new in AI. Watch this level in Microsoft here, 307.57. Notice that it broke out, gave a nice little trade on Friday. I traded this on Friday, and I took it off. It was one of the trades that I decided just to kind of cut at the end of the day, and it retraced back into the top of value. So here's the decision, using volume at price, right, is basically if it stays above 307.57, it is still trending. If it breaks back into this value area for the week, then it's still kind of in the super short term, right? Because it's just a 1 hour chart that we are moving sideways. All right. So just to kind of monitor that. And Google just mentioned that they announced you could see that they're up a little bit. They're up about $1. Google has been slower moving recently, right? But you do have a break here of the value area for the month. So if it could stay above this 106, 107 level, maybe it can kind of move to this 113 level that's up there, virgin point of control that's sitting up there. All right, and besides the big FANG names, I also thought, a lot of the ARC names, and it felt like a lot of names are running into earnings, maybe some short squeezes. For example, Airbnb, which reports tomorrow. This is going to be a really interesting report. We've seen some mixed things come out of travel, or mixed reactions. For example, Booking came out with earnings, Expedia, and those names came down, travel names. However, a couple names actually went up in that space too. I think Royal Caribbean had earnings, right? And there's another travel name too that I can't think of. I'll come back to it if I remember, but there are some names that are going up on travel and some names going down. Notice that this name hasn't really done anything for the last quarter. Today was actually one of the biggest moves it's had all quarter long into earnings. So I don't know if that's short covering. We kind of have seen this in a few different names at this point. This is going to be a very interesting week for earnings, because you have a lot of these smaller growth names that are reporting, some of which just reported after the close. I see HIMS is up, Shockwave is also up, but Toast is one name I don't hear anybody talk about. I think a lot of people got burnt toast, sorry, for the last quarter. Sorry, I couldn't help it. That's my one bad joke for the video. But you know, everybody kind of got bulled up, and there was a lot of speculation in toast coming into its last earnings report, and it sank pretty decently. I don't hear anybody talking about it now, and I see that theme, you know, a lot of people going to restaurants still, and you don't, you know, if you look at some of these casual dining type fast food stocks, your McDonald's, your Wing, right? Your Wingstop, your Chipotle, like these names have been on fire. So I still am in that camp that people are going out to dinner. I'm in New York City, so I see it, you know, firsthand. Trying to get a reservation on a Friday is impossible. So I would think that this might be a sneaky little play, all right, as well as there's a lot of interesting other plays. The home builders, they did pretty well today too. I like what they've been doing, right? They're clearly moving slower. Let's just bring this up here on the daily chart, right? But moving in the right direction, right? And Toll Brothers had a nice day today, which is a name that I'm long. Still has to break that value area. A couple other names too. This is one name that I traded today, which was TMHC. Right, that name moved out to new highs. Nice little scoop in here into the 5-day moving average. Right, another name too that I was watching was ELF today. Right, this comes from our weekend watch list. Still not above the short-term moving averages, but these little dips, even though this is now an expensive company, but these little dips have worked pretty well. Here's, you know, I'm okay showing this, but you know, here's how we set up our weekend watch list. I talked a little bit about this in Friday's video, but you know, these are some names I'm watching to start the week, and you could see how we've got, you know, how they performed for the day. This is all linked to Bloomberg API, so it makes it really nice. What I'm looking at is basically what they do for the day, and then the performance above the trigger. Right, I'm waiting for these things to trigger. And if they don't trigger, then they're just watch list names, but they're all set to volume at price, TTG market webs, as some of the terminology in there. And when they break the value area, it becomes more significant. So that's how we're kind of looking. And I think that there's a lot more, you know, there will be a lot more opportunities this week as the week unfolds. Don't forget, we also have, like, maybe not as big as those other last couple of weeks in terms of events, but we've got the CPI on Wednesday, PPI on Thursday, and then tomorrow at 4 o'clock. You know, let's hope that the politicians somehow come together. Again, hope is the word, that they raise the debt ceiling, because I think overall, and just my quick market sense here, is that, you know, we are seeing a lot more setups materialize right now that we're out of a lot of the earnings season, and things are looking pretty good in terms of, you know, spotting different setups and so forth. I'll give you one more setup for tomorrow, and then we'll call it a day. But I like this analog devices. All right, NVIDIA had a nice day. That's a name that I've been holding. I'll get to that name in just that'll be the last name that I go over. Just bring up this this chart, but I like how this is starting to kind of turn the corner, right? It's going to have earnings on 5/24 and starting to break the trend line here. I mentioned NVIDIA. I've been getting a lot of questions about this name, but I've now taken multiple targets, and I'm waiting for that last target at 300. But overall, it's acting very well. AMD had a big day today, but for me, like, I'm just sticking with NVIDIA. And you know, I don't mind. Like, my plan today was actually, if we were going to have a weekday, is to kind of add back a target that I've recently taken. So I may not get an opportunity to do that, but I'm happy if it gets up to 300 at this point. This has been a really nice trade for me over the last couple months. All right, guys, that's it for today's recap. Hope to see you in the trading room bright and early tomorrow. We start every day at 9:10 with our pre-market session. Have a great night, everybody.